Yo, what's up everyone? My name's Alan V. Very excited to show you a story for today. Today's story is how I got nearly scammed my YG. For those of you who are new to this channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell button to see more content that I'll be posting in the future. Okay, so let's get started. So this happened a while back in January 2019 when I was in my Korean trip auditioning for as many companies as possible. JYP, YG, Big Hit, SM, you name it, I auditioned for every single one of them during my 2-month period in Korea. And so basically what happened was, I came at the YG audition that happened at the YG Training Center, which is on January 26th. Yes, I remember the date. And so pretty much I was hanging around the most popular place for clubbing and nightlife, which is Hongdae, with my friends. So during that time, I was approached by 2 random people in suits who invited me to have coffee back with them. I was like, okay, sure, why not? I was a bit curious to why they wanted to have coffee with me in the first place, since they only knew me for 2 seconds, but at the same time, I wanted to see where it went. So we went to the nearest Starbucks, we ordered our drinks, and then we pretty much had to sit down and talk together. I told them a bit of basic information, which is where I'm from, which is Sydney, Australia, and why I was here in Korea for. Pretty much I was there to audition for as many companies as possible for my chances to become the next K-pop star, like the next BTS, G-Dragon, possibly Blackpink, if I go transgender. Just kidding. And so pretty much I asked them, okay, so what brought you here to have coffee with me? And so this is what they told me. It turns out that they were actually part of the YG companies themselves who are out there to scout out brand new talent like me to join their companies, and pretty much they came across my tape after the YG audition. They pretty much wanted to hear more from me. And I was actually really surprised. Like, out of all the tapes, they saw me within a couple of hours. I'm like, is this a real? Like, oh my goodness. I was actually a little bit excited and jumpy at the same time, so I asked them to tell me more. So basically they told me, okay, so I qualified for the second round of auditions, and so I have to go back to the place that's near the YG Training Center at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, which just happened to be around like 3 days later. And so pretty much what I did was, okay, cool, I'll be there. Is there any more information I need to know? And then this is what they told me, which pretty much actually surprised me a lot. Wait for it. Lisa was going to be there. Like, I was like, oh my goodness! I'm actually going to audition in front of Lisa. I'm actually going to audition in front of my favorite K-pop bias of all time, Lisa. Like, if you guys don't know, I'm actually a huge Lisa fanboy because I love the energy that she brings into the group. I love her energy and the charisma and the rapping and the dancing she brings. And she's pretty much like the whole package that I'm aiming to go towards as an artist myself. And so pretty much like, I was actually really excited. I was really jumpy at this point. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna audition in front of Lisa. Like, oh my goodness. It was like me when a kid is going on his first roller coaster ride. I was really excited, scared, jumpy, and I just couldn't really control my emotions like how I'm feeling right now. And so I was like, oh my goodness, are you for real? Are you for real? Oh my god, 감사합니다, 감사합니다. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And then they said, okay, you have to be back there at 9 o'clock on Tuesday. We'll see you there. Eventually, I just raced out of the coffee room feeling so excited, jumpy, and cheery. Everyone was looking at me to see what was going on. They actually thought I was some sort of lunatic who just jumped out of a coffee place. And pretty much, I ran all the way back to the hotel. I bragged to all of my friends and my family in the hotel and back in Australia to say, oh my goodness, I just scored an audition with Lisa. Like, literally, I'm going to actually audition in front of her. I'm going to show her that I have the potential to become a K-pop star. And at that point, they were really happy for me. But at the same time, I felt it was all too good to be true in that moment. And despite all of this, even though I did get scouted by themselves, and even though I had the opportunity to perform in front of Lisa, I had to practice. So pretty much between the 3 days of when I was scouted and the day of audition, which was on Tuesday, I practiced heavily, like really heavily. So I prepared the same song that I went with back at the YG audition. I prepared a really powerful rap verse. I also prepared a Korean song, which was from a Korean drama. I also prepared a dancing round, which was a freestyle b-boying round. And I prepared 3 different introductions. One in English, one in Vietnamese, and especially one in Korean. For guys of you who don't know, I'm actually Vietnamese myself, so that's the reason why I prepared one in Vietnamese. And so pretty much I was practicing heavily over and over again. I made sure I didn't spare any single minute to do anything stupid or do anything unproductive. I just pretty much practiced every single time. I just kept on focusing on that goal of trying to make sure I not only impress the judges to get my chance of being a YG artist myself, but also to impress Lisa, because like literally like, who who would stuff in front of Lisa? Like, who would have to bring some stuff in front of her? Like, literally, like, oh my goodness. And so pretty much like the day came, which was on Tuesday. I got up super early in the morning, around like 6:30 in the morning. I cleaned my teeth to the cleanest as possible. I did my hair to the neatest hair as possible. I made sure I prepared the best outfit as possible. And I also made sure I had to give off some type of really nice cologne smell. And then after I got everything ready to make sure I was as neatest as possible to give off the YG look as possible, I also practiced as well. I went over my songs, my rap, my Korean song, my introductions, my dance over and over again, made sure I was perfect as possible. And so 8 o'clock came and I made my way to the place that's near the YG training center. So pretty much like it was pretty much a 10-minute walk from there. And during that time, I was just practicing here and there. So after I got to the place that's near the YG training center, it was pretty much around like 8:10 at the time. I was still practicing here and there. And pretty much like I was just making sure I got every single detail as possible. Which is like all of my introductions, all of my songs. I'm pretty much repeating myself at this point. But like literally you didn't know how much this audition means to me. And so I had to make sure everything was on time, on point. And so around 8:45 the judges came and the strange thing was Lisa was nowhere to be found. Like, why isn't she there? Like, why isn't she there as if the judges promised me this? Like, why? But at the same time, I didn't really want to ruin my chances of failing this audition or giving off a bad impression to the judges, so I decided to just brush it off and assume she was gonna come later to judge me. So by the time the judges came, they were like, wow, you're so early. What made you come here? I'm like, I just want to prepare myself the best as possible. I want to make sure I look good in front of you. And the judges already sensed that from me because I wanted to give them the impression that I really wanted this spot. I really want to be part of YG and I really want to achieve big dreams with them, just like how Blackpink does themselves, and especially Lisa, even though she was nowhere to be found. So the judges unlocked the room, they set up the table, then they set up the camera, and then I was asked to go into the middle. They asked me to take a couple of professional shots, which is one headshot, one shot to the left, one shot to the right, and a full body shot. Then I was asked to do all of my introductions. So I did all my introductions in English, Korean, and Vietnamese with the biggest energy as possible. I wanted to make sure that I was really, really excited in front of the camera. And then eventually the judges said, okay, so please showcase what you prepared. I was like, okay, sure. So I sang the song You Got It Bad by Usher. Do keep in mind that this is actually one of my favorite songs to sing, and it's a song that I know back to front. So I sang with all my heart, all of my emotions. I wanted to make sure that my song, the song that I sang, touches the judges so sincerely. And then the judges were actually pretty impressed by how well I sung that. They're like, okay, Kamsahamnida, have you prepared something else? I was like, I prepared a rap. The judges were like, okay, show me a rap. And so the rap I rapped to was Not Afraid by Eminem. I rapped the first verse of it, and basically what I did was I had to make sure I was powerful as possible when it came to the rap. I needed to make sure that my rap had a huge impact on the judges and to showcase my authority in leading the direction of artists. Like literally, I wanted to make sure I wanted to stand up for what I stand for in my rap. Eventually, the judges were actually quite blown away by how well I rapped it. They were like, okay, stop. Okay, did you prepare a Korean song? I was like, yes, I did prepare a Korean song. And so the judges were like, okay, please show us the Korean song. So the song I chose was If It Is You by Jung Sung Hwan, which is from Another Miss O, the Korean drama itself. And pretty much I did the same. What I did was back in You Got It Bad, I sang all my heart out. I sang all of my emotions out. I made sure my voice had to touch the judges as perfect as possible. Like, I had to make sure I had to impress them really, really good. The judges were pretty impressed, and they told me that, wow, I think the way that you pronounce your Korean is not too bad for someone who doesn't know Korean. I'm like, alright, kamsahamnida. Like for me, I took this as a compliment because my Korean level is just pretty much basic. And then eventually they're like, can you dance? I was like, okay, sure. So I pretty much played the beat, and needless to say, I kind of stuffed up. Like I stuffed up a couple of moves that I prepared myself, and I kind of stuffed up because I got too jumpy, too excited, and then eventually I just completely forgot all of the steps. And then pretty much, I was pretty much doing a lot of 6 steps, CC, Zulus, all the basic b-boying moves. Eventually the judges said, okay, stop, kamsahamnida, thank you very much. They actually complimented me a lot and told me that I did so well for my audition. They said, okay, we're happy to hand you this paperwork. So I eagerly took this paperwork and I read it, but the problem was it was all in Korean. Like they couldn't prepare an English contract for me or something like that. So I asked them, do you have the English contract or paperwork or whatsoever? They're like, oh no, sorry, we've got to print that. Please just sign it, give it back to us, and then we'll see you soon. And then in the back of my mind, I was a bit suspicious. Like, I was a bit skeptical to why they didn't really prepare an English contract to me. So I had to take out my phone and I had to translate the whole contract. But do keep in mind, they were actually really impatient because they were expecting me to sign the paper and give it to them immediately. And at the time, I was a bit suspicious. Yeah. So while I was translating the contract, it was pretty much a pain in the butt to translate. So eventually, I saw this line of 1 million Korean won, which actually set red flags in my head. Eventually I was like, okay, I gotta translate this line. Like, I literally gotta translate this line. I translated the line, and then guess what? It turns out I have to pay a total of 1 million Korean won for my chance to be in the 3rd round auditions and for my chance to audition for Lisa. And then right now I was like, what the heck? Why would YG go out and take 1 million Korean won from aspiring auditionees when they make millions and millions of dollars with Blackpink and the rest of the K-pop artists themselves that are within YG? Like, it just didn't really make sense to me. It made absolutely no sense. And do keep in mind that even though I wanted to sign the contract, I only had $500 left in my bank account, which was nowhere near the 1 million Korean won mark. So eventually I deduced that this was pretty much too sketchy for me to sign, and I was like, you know what? No, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And then I tried to leave, and then guess what? The judges ran around and tried to block me and tried to force me to sign this paper. And then I was like, no, I don't want to sign the paperwork. I don't, please get me out of here. So I pretty much had to wrestle my way through the 2 judges, and I had to run up as far away as possible. And needless to say, I did lose sight of them eventually. But then on the way back to the hotel, I was really sad. Like, I was really sad, dying and crying inside, because I prepared all of this for nothing. I prepared all of my songs, my dance, my introductions, and all of my hustle, all to get scammed? Like, literally? Like, why? And also giving me the false hope of me performing in front of Lisa. This one really shattered me a lot because I didn't have the chance to see her, and they pretty much like lied to my face. And so afterwards, I just didn't really feel like doing anything for a couple of days. But then after the few days, I was like, you know what? Life must go on. Life must keep rolling. I gotta keep auditioning and see where I could go. And so pretty much a few days later, surprise, surprise, it turns out that these 2 people in the suits, aka the judges, were actually out there to go out and scam a lot of young auditionees to hand over thousands and thousands of dollars for their chance to be a part of a company, or for their chance to secure 3rd round auditions, or for their chance to see their favorite stars and perform in front of them. And literally they were telling me a lot of BS promises just so they could get young artists to hand over lots and lots of money. I heard this from a rumor while I was partying in Hongdae. Like, literally, like, what the heck? Like, it's kind of sickening to see that these 2 people out there are trying to use their dreams, sell it back to them in the worst ways possible, and try to scam them just to get a couple of thousands of dollars. Like, what type of scumbag would do that? Like, literally, if I was there right now, I would have just literally punched them in the face. Like, I would just knock the heck out of them, because I was really pissed off at that time. Yikes. Alright, so this pretty much wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell button, and smash that like button to see more content I'll be posting in the future. I will be doing more behind the scenes of when I was in Korea auditioning for many companies. Until then, take it easy.